have to hop off, just know that it will be there for your support. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. And since we can let others in as they come, since it's already 9:31, I want to respect your time. So this is Introduction to GMAP training for new coordinators. We sent the invitations out to our brand new coordinators or those who have been hired in at the end of last year after GMAP had been completed and may not have the experience with it. Today from the department, we have Stephanie Ernst, Becca Atkins, and Tasha Oglesby. Along with myself, I'm Andrea Bartholomew, and we are the 4 folks that are primarily responsible for the GMAP and the annual determinations process at the department. Okay. Just a few housekeeping things. Please turn off your videos to save bandwidth. Stay on mute unless you need to speak. And we would like to utilize the raise your hand feature. That way we're not trying to talk all over each other. We do have a QR code coming at the end of the presentation that is a Padlet. We like to use those to gather questions. And we will have time for questions after the presentation, and we would like to keep those questions specific to the GMAP process today. I know there's a lot of other things going on, but today we would like to just focus on the GMAP and the determinations process. So now I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Ernst, and she's going to walk you through the GMAP introduction and how you access the system and some common questions. Stephanie?
Thanks, Andrea, and good morning, everybody. I'm glad you were able to spend some of your Friday. Thank goodness we made it to Friday with us this morning. So if you've not been into GMAP or if you're new to GMAP, we do have this introduction for you. When you log in, we're going to go through the application system, the login steps, the GMAP sections, and common questions. After we finish that, Andrea will take back over and we will talk about those determinations. We have a determinations rubric. We're going to talk a little bit about compliance with those and enforcement actions that take place after. So our new application system, we started this up, the first go around was last January, and that was in accordance with KRS 1573175. Which stated that we needed an annual evaluation and grant application system for our preschool programs. And as I said, this began to be implemented with the 2020-2021 school year. Our goal was to provide better alignment of that district funding and improve programming for preschool students. In our new application system, as you already know, we refer to that as GMAP. So I will make one caveat just real quickly. If you are also a DOS or you work closely with your DOS, they also have GMAP for IDEA. This is the state-funded preschool GMAP application that we're going to discuss today. So looking at our state preschool grant application timeline, GMAP will open for edits January 1st. It'll stay open January 1st through March 31st. And during that time, we will be doing some spot checks and technical assistance will be provided by KDE School Readiness Branch Consultants. Sorry, something. Oh, there we go. March 31st, GMAP will close. So that's the deadline to get all of your information in. April 1st through April 30th, KDE consultants will be reviewing that. So during that time, you may get an email from myself, from Andrea, from other consultants asking for clarification, maybe asking you to edit something. And so that's time where we'll go back and forth with you guys, making sure that everything in there is what we need to be able to review your application and make your determination by June 1st. So those determinations will be submitted June 1st. And by July 1st, your first quarter preschool allocation funds will be sent. So GMAP login. Just a few things here with this page. Once you do go to log in, you're going to see down here at the bottom, if you look on your all's left, I believe, you'll see GMAP sign out. That's also where the sign in button is for you all. And to be able to log in, you're going to have to get access from whoever your district person is that does all the GMAP for all the other grants that might be in there. And so we can talk you through how to find that person. That person will be located in your address book. But after you log in, we want to go and change that status to draft started. If you will look up here at the top, this picture shows application status not started, and you want to change that status to draft started. The address for GMAP, of course, is that gmap.education.kentucky.gov, and we also will make sure that you all are sent that link January 1st when it is open. On the home GMAP page, there will be announcements. You'll get an email automatically once this opens up. We do not create those announcements. Those are created by the folks that run the GMAP for us. And so when you do log in under announcements, you might see things that aren't related to preschool. So don't panic. That's okay. You're going to see things related to Title I, IDEA, ELL. There's just many things, and many programs are starting to go to GMAP if they haven't already. So you'll see all those announcements, but you'll only be able to make adjustments and edits to the preschool one if that's what you're assigned to. Again, we want to show you that on the GMAP sign-in homepage, you can see the red arrow here pointing to that GMAP sign-in. You have to, as I said earlier, have been added as a GMAP user. And once you have been added as a user, you're going to receive an email with instructions for setting up that password. And to find out how you can be set up as a GMAP user, we'll use that address book within your district. After you've logged in, you're going to be able to access your user profile by clicking on your name at the bottom of the menu. I do want to point out that it does time out. The session timeout clock will display the time left before you are going to be logged out. It does automatically save, but if you want to still work, if you just click anywhere on the page, it's going to reset that to an hour. If you don't want to save and move on, you'll get your reminders on how much time you have left, and it'll automatically log you out. That is a safety feature because we all understand we get to work on this on our desktops, on our laptops, and we don't want everybody to see necessarily what we're putting in there. So that is a safety piece of the GMAP. So some more login steps. So how do you find the application? How do you find where you need to be? You want to access the funding application page, and you're going to do that by clicking the organization name on your home page or from the search bar and find funding application on that main navigation menu. We are a funding application. Once you get there, you'll be able to scroll down and find all active applications that you have access to. For this coming year, you're going to select the 2022, but right here you see our screenshot is of 2021. That is the application that we just finished. And you're going to want to make sure that you click that state preschool under that entitlement funding application. So navigation within GMAP. One of the pieces is you're not able to use the forward and back buttons. If you do, you're going to receive a red message that says the page you're attempting to view has been expired. If this happens, click on any menu item or link on the page to return to the correct navigation and where you were. And you can see there at the bottom of your screen, that's what'll pop up. It'll say the page you're attempting to view is expired. Please utilize the links and/or buttons available on your current page. So you can't go forward, you can't go backwards. You have to go through those clicking links that are located on GMAP. Talked about this briefly because that was one of our biggest things that we did provide some support on with our first year with GMAP is once we're logged in, how do we start? When you log in for the very first time, your application is in not started status. You can actually do many things within GMAP before you hit draft started, but to be able to work and save, you have to change that status to draft started. It's at the very top. Once you log in, this screenshot does a great job of displaying that, and you'll just click draft started, and that's all you do. So the sections within GMAP, when you log in, you're going to see a history log, you're going to see allocations, contacts, state preschool, and the state preschool checklist. So the history log is going to give you access to everything that you do within GMAP. Anytime a comment is sent to you from KDE, anytime a change is made by yourself, anyone in the district, or KDE, you're going to have access to that under that history log. Allocations is going to be where that preschool allocation is annually. Contacts will be any GMAP contacts within there. And then under state preschool, we'll go into these in depth, but we have our program details page where it's going to tell us about your program. You're going to have the preschool education program and related services where you put information about your teachers and your building. Your budget link and your budget overview where you do your budget narratives, and then related documents, which will be your child find information and your Head Start full utilization. Last year we had a few questions because you guys can access the state preschool checklist. You do nothing with that state preschool checklist. You can look at it, but that is for KDE to use when they are reviewing your GMAP application. So here's just a snippet of the history log. As you can see, as I was talking about earlier, it goes through and shows you anytime the status was changed. It'll show you what user made those changes and what time. So that gives you a time and date stamp. It shows you that your draft was started, your draft is complete, your finance officer approved, your superintendent approved, and then at the very top, you'll see that it was finally KDE State Preschool Coordinator Consultant approved. So this is a snippet of the allocations page. You'll see right here we're using Lewis County as an example. And so on the side, you'll see you'll have to click that 1 or 2 or however many allocations. Usually we just have 1. If you've worked in other GMAP areas, there may be more than that. But if you click that 1, it will give you your amount on that page. It'll take you to the amount on the next page. So our program details. This looks very similar to what you guys are going to see. This screen, though, when you actually log in, is very wide and long. So be sure that you scroll side to side at the bottom of your computer when you're entering this information, because you'll need to be able to scroll over. It does cut a little bit of it off when you actually log in, but you'll have access to put in your sites and your enrollments. If you get in here and one of your sites is not available or it's not in the drop down, that's a simple email, and we'll go over that here in a bit. But you'll want to, these will be drop downs for you guys within your districts. You'll put down what school, you'll put down what you offer. Everybody offers state funded preschool unless you are a couple of our counties that do not, and they've allocated that to Head Start. That was a common theme last year, as some folks skipped over that button, and so then we didn't have that percentage of participating children that meet that eligibility. If you offer any state-funded preschool slots, please check that first box and then check any additional boxes that you might offer within your program, such as state-funded Head Start blend, if you're a Head Start delegate site, tuition-based, or universal preschool. And if you have any questions about what you do offer as a district, we can help you with that as well. So under program details, you're going to have to put in your teacher's information. And you can see we've got over here, scroll to the end, because this does go on. Like I said, it's a little bit bigger than your screen. But your lead teacher, a teacher with double sessions, half-day, or AB full-day sessions should be listed for each session so we can fully capture how many classrooms you have within that building within that day. Here you're going to put in your student staff ratio. Should be either 20:2 or 10:1. Anything that looks different than that, be sure to check with your program. If you have questions, be sure to check with your RTCs or consultants here at KDE, because we do want to maintain that ratio, which is 1 adult per 10 children. That's in regulation. You'll have sessions to choose from, full day, half day. Those will be drop-down boxes for you. Then programs and meals served. You will check off all these boxes of things that you offer. Alternate programs like that AB group would only mark those days that students attend. So for example, if Mrs. O has full day A and B sessions, she's going to have entries on 2 separate lines, one for her A group that attend Monday, Tuesday, and one for her B group that attend Thursday, Friday. Be sure to check off any meals that are served, even if those are served virtually.
Stephanie, can I jump in for just a second?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the previous program approval. So some of you may have heard of the preschool program approval form. It was a spreadsheet. The coordinator previous to you may have left that for you to do, may have told you about that. This is what takes place of that form. So that is no longer needed at the beginning of the school year. What we do is we capture the snapshot between January and March of what your program's doing. That way we have that information just to see. Now, if we need to monitor your program or if something comes up and we have questions, we're going to call you and we're going to say, hey, how many teachers do you have? What's your schedule like? Also, your teachers come up on the lead report, so we're able to get that from our EPSB partners, and that made the program approval form kind of useless for a reason. I mean, it was something that you guys had to keep doing and updating constantly, and it was really hard to keep up with. So we decided just to take this snapshot during our monitoring process and use that to monitor. I realized that this year COVID is going to be an issue with how your programs are set up. Again, this is just a snapshot. So whenever you fill out this section in GMAP between January and March, you will put in what is currently happening. We realize that could change tomorrow. We realize that could change next week, but we just want that snapshot of what's currently happening. Okay. I see we do have a hand raised. Stephanie, do we want to address questions now or do we want to wait to the end?
I don't have a preference. We can go ahead if it's something now.
Sure. Chelsea, I see that you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Andrea. I think you kind of answered it. So I guess that was my question. Is this projecting for next year, or is this is for the current year?
This is for the current year. Yeah.
This is for the current year, what's happening now. And even if, like you said, it's completely different because of COVID, and we go ahead and put what's really happening, right? Not what our program was approved to do. Does that make sense?
Yes. This is for current year, what's happening right now.
Okay.
When you fill this out. That's something that, so we realize that it would change. It could change back and forth. But we just want that snapshot of what's actually happening at that moment when you fill it out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I think I saw something in, let me see. Okay. Donna, I may have missed this, but did you guys say you'd be sending the slides out? Yes, this will be sent out.
Okay, I think we're good to go. Sorry for the interruption, friend.
Oh no, you're fine. This is a lot of information, and so we are going to go through this quickly, but yes, you guys are going to get access to this, and then you always have access to us last year. We gave a lot of technical assistance to districts helping you guys through this. Our RTC directors and consultants have been trained on this multiple times, so they also are available to provide technical assistance. So this is something that you will be supported pretty heavily with, especially since it'll be your first time getting all this together. Did we finish on this slide? I feel like we did, but I want to make sure. Andrea, are we good to go on?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is the preschool education program and related services button. And so this is where you're going to be answering yes or no. And then you'll also be able to provide some uploads here. So these are straight from that KRS 157.3175 that we referenced in the beginning. These are the things that a Kentucky state-funded preschool program should be doing. So we realized that we're giving you the option to say yes or no. People did answer very honestly last year, so we hope that continues. But it's going to ask you, did you have a certified full utilization document with Head Start? You'll say yes or no. You'll be able to upload that there. That document, please make sure when that is uploaded, it's the signed copy, not just a blank copy. We did have some confusion there last year. So make sure that you're uploading the one that has all the signatures. You're going to be asked if the district curriculum does align with the Kentucky Early Childhood Standards. You're going to be asked if you have a program evaluation component. You're going to be asked if you select and use one of the 5 state-approved preschool outcome assessments. You're going to be asked about student participation in state-required assessments. You're going to be asked about providing related services as described in the KAR. You're going to ask about consistently using strategies to include eligible children with disabilities into that regular education preschool program. And you're going to be asked if you have parent outreach and active involvement plan, which meets the requirements also of KAR. So again, just some big points here is up at the top with number 1 is where that certified full utilization document will go, your certificate of full utilization. And then your child find includes preschool enrollment information and advertising at the bottom. It cut that one off just a little bit, but that's where you'll be able to upload that as well. So moving on to the budget overview and budget piece of GMAP. So with our budget, when you log in, you're going to have codes. The codes that are in GMAP are the approved codes for preschool related services and items. When you select those codes, please be descriptive in your budget narrative. If questions do come up during review, we're going to return that application for correction. If you are not the DOS, you may want to work closely with them on these descriptions as they've done this for the IDEA piece. And the IDEA GMAP does require extensive details on the budget. When we say please be descriptive, it needs to be more than just used for supplies. Used for supplies is pretty vague, and we don't know what kind of supplies those are. So be as specific and descriptive as you possibly can there. That will limit the going back and forth during KDE review. And then this is the preschool checklist that we talked about. This will be completed by preschool consultant at KDE. As you can see here, it will show you that the district preschool program information addressed the KARs here. It'll say okay, or it'll say returned. It'll timestamp it. The same for the preschool education program related services, and the same for the budget. Okay means the information is available for us to review. That does not mean that your application meets determinations, and we're going to go into that in just a moment. But this checklist is a means of communication between KDE and districts regarding the allowability and allocability of the items submitted in your funding application. Reason being, your information the goal of GMAP is to collect the information. So that's why even if it's not approved, we're going to say okay because you met step 1. Step 2 is reviewing that information to see if it meets determinations. So that's where we got a few questions last year was folks said, well, I logged into GMAP and the checklist, Miss Jennifer said everything was okay, but now you've sent me a determination. What did I do wrong? So we just want to make sure that we're really clear on that with you guys, that even though this may say okay, that does not mean that your application meets determinations. Let's stop there just briefly. Do you all have any questions before we go into these common questions about anything we've said? Okay. So some common questions, and I did go over several of these when we were going through here, is why won't GMAP let me enter data? You have to move that into Drive Started before you can enter data. And when finished, for your finance officer who will have to sign off on your GMAP, you have to move to Draft Complete. That sends the application to the next person in your district for approval. So it goes up the line. So as preschool coordinator, you will log in, you will hit Draft Started. When you're finished, you will hit Draft Complete. That's going to prompt that to be sent to your finance officer. When your finance officer signs off on it, it's going to generate a response that says finance officer approved. And then that's going to send that automatically to your superintendent. And then that'll give them time to review and sign off on that as well. So sometimes, last year, coordinators, you do your part, you get stuck in limbo, things happen, waiting on other individuals to sign off on that. So as you get reminders, and because there will be email reminders throughout the GMAP process when it's getting close to that closing date, and if you know that you've submitted it, you might want to log in and check that status and say, oh, okay, I need to reach out to my finance person. Or maybe the finance person has completed, then maybe you need to follow up with your superintendent. So why the fiscal year 2022 when my data was from 2021? All preschool fiscal information is from the current school year. And the data, this is for monitoring only. So data from that 2020-2021 will be used to determine the program's adherence to regulation. So this process will help determine funding for the 2021-2022 school year. And so that just to hit on that really quickly one more time, because this was a little confusing even for us because we have to think kind of a year ahead. So when you log in January and you go to the state funded preschool application and you hit the drop down for the year in January, even though we are hats off to 2021, I'm so excited for that to get here. You're going to hit 2022. So some GMAP common questions with their timeline. When do I update my application? You will only update your applications beginning every January, and that's when that fiscal year 2022 will open. January 1st through March 31st, your information entered into GMAP is going to reflect the year that you are in, the teachers you currently have, the current full utilization certificate, and your current fiscal year 21 budget. Those pieces are going to allow us to look and see how you met regulation and what your budget for the next year will be. March 31st, again, GMAP will close for edits unless it is sent back to you from a consultant. April 1st through April 30th, KDE will be reviewing. So after KDE approval, you do not need to access GMAP again until January 2022. Even if there's a change in a teacher, a change in a meal, a change in a program option, you will not edit that until the following January. Again, just following up, June 1st, district determinations will be submitted. In July 1st, your first preschool allocation for that first quarter will be sent.
All right. So before we move on to the determination process, do we have questions about the technical side of GMAP or entry or anything like that? You can use the chat feature. You can use raise your hand and talk. Yes, Becca.
Hi, Andrea. Good morning.
Good morning, friend.
Good morning. I was wondering what schools will do if a teacher's certification changes after GMAP closes.
For GMAP, there is the monitoring period from January to March. There's no need to update anything in GMAP, even if that teacher certification changes. At that point, we will probably be notified on the lead report, as well as finding any issues with other types of monitoring. So once that closes, you're done.
Thanks. I just wanted everyone to hear that.
Yes, yes, and we are going to make some changes with the system. So after April 30th, you will no longer be able to access it. Like when you go to try to get in, it will say it's closed. You cannot access it until January. We're going to do that because there were several issues, and a lot of this is on us because we're trying to change the system, and then pandemic hit and everything kind of went wonky, and so our communication was not as good as it should have been, just because we were focused on other things, and districts were focused on other things, rightly so. So the monitoring process, what we're just using is just for monitoring only. So your allocation will change in GMAP. Will not change in GMAP until January. You will get a new allocation funding amount in June, July, but nothing needs to be changed in GMAP until January. That was really hard for some of our finance officers because they were on the periphery of this. We had some changes, in staffing, and things were shut down. Things were hard. And so that was probably one of the bigger issues that we had, was knowing letting the finance officers understand this is not like other applications. This is just for monitoring. We don't have to make updates or changes until the monitoring season opens. Again, we'll walk through all that together. If you need help or support, or if your finance officer starts freaking out, give us a call and we'll call them and we'll talk about it. No worries. Okay, so we're going to get into kind of what happens after GMAP process is completed. So as Stephanie said earlier, the GMAP is the first step in our preschool monitoring system. We review that application. We say, yes, everything in the application is good. We have enough information to make a decision about the determination of your program. If you are a DOS, if you work closely with your DOS, you know that the IDEA process for determinations is very similar to what we are doing. We are kind of modeling off of them. As our branch sits in the Office of Special Education and Early Learning, we wanted to try to streamline some things. And about half of our preschool coordinators are also DOSes. So that kind of helps too, that they understand the process looks very similar. So why determinations? The determination process informs your district of regulation violations. The quality issues in the preschool program, that's something that we hope to embed in this one day, but as All Stars has been suspended for at least this year, and who knows how much longer until we can get back to normal life, but having that be suspended, and we know that quality is difficult right now because we're all just trying to do what's best for kiddos. Right now, it's only informing of district of regulation violations. You will receive a did not meet or meets determination. So that would mean did not meet would mean that you had a regulation violation somewhere within your GMAP application as well as other things. We look at a whole slew of information and data to make these decisions. So if you received a meets determination, that means that you're good. You have met everything that we've asked you to do. Everything looks great in your program. You're moving on. If you receive a does not meet requirements or does not meet determinations, you'll be placed into a monitoring process. The 3 monitoring processes that we have, or the process has 3 levels. The first level is needs assistance. The second level is needs intervention. The third level is needs substantial intervention. Again, if you're a DOS or if you work closely with IDEA, those look very familiar to you. Here's our rubric. So it kind of shows you how that works. So the first year that you did not meet determination, you get that needs assistance. The second consecutive year of does not meet or not met results in needs intervention. The fourth consecutive year of does not meet or the discretion of the associate commissioner or division director or the results of on-site monitoring visit, that results in needs substantial intervention. This can also be the result of a finding of persistent failure or not able to comply, which is the most serious designation that we have. We wanted to make sure that we hit on that one because it is the most serious one. Districts that are identified as persistent failure to comply or not able to comply get that needs substantial intervention regardless of any other factors. So the associate commissioner or the division director reserve the right to place a district into that category at any point. So typically what would happen is if we did a monitoring visit, say we're there for consolidated and we are looking and we see, massive health and safety. You guys have 40 kids in one room with one teacher. You've got, people, excluding kids, putting kids in isolation. We've got, playgrounds that are falling apart, those kind of things. That's a major violations. That would be an instance where we would come back and say, all right, we got to figure this out. This district is falling apart. They need massive help. That would be where you would be put into this category, and lots of support would be headed your way. So we have enforcement actions. This is one thing that is new to the preschool program. Based on our regulation and our statute, the KDE has the authority to withhold in whole or in part further payments to your district from the preschool grant funding allocation system. If you need substantial intervention, you do not comply, you are unable to fix the issues in your district for 4 consecutive years or those massive major violations, we are able to withhold your funding. Now, that is something that no one ever wants to do. That is not something that we want to get to. We would rather provide layers upon layers of support and technical assistance before we get to this point. But that's something that you and your superintendent and your district need to understand. That say that your violation is max class size. So say you've got 26 kids in a room when our max class size is 20. You're told the first year you're provided technical assistance. Hey, you're breaking reg. You got to figure it out. The second year, you're still doing it. Okay, now you're under a corrective action plan. We've got to fix this. The next year, still under corrective action plan, still not fixed. That fourth year, when you're put into needs substantial intervention, your funding would be in jeopardy. Now, because preschool funding is provided in quarterly payments, what this would look like would be, okay, that first quarter payment you will not get. I would send a notification to finance, KDE Finance, and say XYZ district is in need substantial intervention and they're unable to comply, so please withhold their first quarter payment. That first quarter payment is not able to be, so say you fix the problem in the first quarter, you do not get that money back. That money goes right back into the flexible fund focus and gets parted out to everyone else. So that money is gone for that first quarter. And then we would check in, and if you still had not corrected the problems, then I would send a note to KDE Finance saying, please withhold the second quarter payment until you fix your problems. Again, we do not want to get to this point. We would much rather flood you guys with support and technical assistance, and even even corrective action plans if that's what it takes for your district to understand the importance of this regulation. Because sometimes, I mean, we understand. All of us have been in the classroom. All of us have been in districts. We get it. We know sometimes there are things that are out of your control. There are decisions that are made that are not yours to make. So we would rather try and intercede on your behalf before we get to the point where we take funding away, because all that does is hurt kids, and we know that. But we have to make sure that preschool programs are meeting compliance. We talk a lot in OSIL. You stick around for a while with us, you'll hear that a lot, that compliance is the floor. Compliance to regulation, that initial, like we're doing regulation compliance, is the floor. And we want to build a skyscraper with quality, right? We have some programs that are in the basement. They're climbing the stairs just to get to compliance, just to get to making sure they're meeting everything in our regulation and our statute. And that's what this process is about. This process is about supporting districts to get to where we need to get. Okay, I'm going to go back real quick. Sorry for the scrolling fast. Okay, so with this rubric here, the needs assistance, that's not a corrective action plan. That is just technical assistance. That's us working with the RTC groups. That's us working with you, a consultant saying, hey, how can I help? Examples for this year, we had some districts that did not meet full utilization with their Head Start partner. That is a regulation that you meet that. Now, for some reasons, we know it's not possible. Sometimes it's a one-year thing. Other times it's systemic. So we have consultants that will call you and call your Head Start partners and work together with the Head Start Head Start Collaboration Office, working together to try and figure out how we can best serve kids, right? It's just technical assistance. There's nothing formal. You'll have set calls with your consultant just to check in, those types of things. If you move to needs intervention, that's when a corrective action plan is implemented. That's when it becomes formal. It becomes us sending you formal paperwork saying this is the violation. Here's how we're going to fix it. Let's work together. We'll have very formalized forms for that, and for the 2 or 3 years that you're in that. With any substantial intervention, like I said earlier, that's when the corrective action plan becomes much more serious. And during all of these assistance and intervention phases, we can provide, right now, the only technical assistance we can provide is virtual and phone calls. We can't come out and visit right now. Hopefully, we'll be able to implement that again. So if we need to do a site visit, if we need to come out and work with you, side by side on something, need to have meetings with you and your supers, need to have meetings with you and your, your teachers or your partners, your RTC partners, we're happy to do that when we're able to travel again. That will be part of the process for the corrective action plan, those on-site visits and those the uploading of evidence and documents. I just wanted to hit that and make sure that people understood that first year is not a CAP. It's not a corrective action plan. It's just help. The second year, the second consecutive year that you're in this process, that's when the corrective action plan will begin. All right. So this is the Padlet. So just scan this code. It's available to December 1st. Everything's anonymous. Just type in your questions there if you don't feel comfortable talking right now as a group. We have we'll take maybe 10-15 minutes if you guys have questions to hang out and talk. But this Padlet, if you don't feel comfortable, you can put them there. If we get enough questions, we'll send out an FAQ document. We tried that with our fall leadership meeting, and we only got maybe 6 or 7 questions. So it really wasn't, and they were very similar questions. So it really wasn't enough to be able to send out a really big document or anything. But I'll open up the floor for questions in the chat box, or raise your hand, or anything.
Also, Andrea, since we do have our RTC folks on here, if you guys had any common questions or common pieces that you provided technical assistance with, please feel free to speak up because we could have easily forgotten something.
Absolutely. Okay, so doesn't seem like anyone has any big questions. I know this is a lot of information that we just threw at you real quickly. So once you get back and you synthesize it and you think about it, please don't hesitate to reach out. Miss Nancy from Callaway says that we've covered the one she had about the year and the budget. Yeah, the budget was very, very big this year. Hopefully we can get that sorted out for next year. Alicia?
Good morning. Would it be okay for the RTC directors to get this PowerPoint as well in case some of our districts have questions? That way we have it as reference.
Absolutely. So we're going to post this and the slides on the website so everyone will be able to access it. And we're planning a training probably in January, since December, I mean, it's already Thanksgiving. December is going to fly by too. Probably in January, that will be for anyone who wants to come for a refresher, not just specific to new coordinators. So that will be something that we'll work on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is, like I said, that last year was the first year that we tried to implement anything like this. It's the first, so it was the first time that State Funded Preschool had gone through any type of process like this, and it was hard. And then COVID hit and the everything shut down so quickly, and things changed, priorities changed, rightfully so. And we think that our districts did an amazing job getting this together, pulling it together. Our support staff, our RTC friends, everyone did a really great job of circling together and getting really great information. We're able to pull really detailed information from GMAP that helps us support the story of State Funded Preschool. That's one thing that we wanted to make sure GMAP was able to do for us, was to give us data to show people, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. Making sure that State Funded Preschool is afforded the respect and legitimacy that it deserves. So we're really able to tell that story with a lot of the data. So please, please, please don't hesitate to ask questions of your RTC directors or staff or of us. So Stephanie and I kind of led the process for this work, and now we will be shifting that off to Becca and Tasha. This is their contact information. Becca would be more of your technical assistance with the system, how to enter things in, how to get access, that kind of stuff. And Tasha is going to be more of your programmatic pieces, knowing how you put in your teachers, what their degrees and credentials are, those kind of questions. Those are the folks that you can contact with questions. All right.
Andrea, real quick too, and I think we skipped this part in the beginning, so my apologies because we get going and forget. But since you guys are new, I do just want to let you all know that this was created with preschool coordinators, RTC directors, and school readiness branch consultants when we switched over to this. So we had a lot of feedback from those stakeholders. Our feedback came directly from coordinators just like you guys. And then after we finished year one, we reached back out to those coordinators for their suggestions, their concerns, and things they would like to see changed. So please know that each year this is a process where we really value your feedback. We want to make sure that this captures everything about your program. We want to make sure that it's useful for you and your system that you have in place. So remember to look forward to, this is very in the future, but, this time next year, be looking forward to an email that says, hey, coordinators, is there anything that you would like to see differently? Anything we might need to add? So I just wanted to put that out there as well. Sure. I skipped over that in the beginning. I'm sorry.
No worries. I think that's, as you guys are new coordinators, new to this position, maybe not new to your district or to preschool, but new to your position, it's, when we first created this, it was really in response, one, to, some things that happened behind the scenes at KDE and with the legislative body, but also we did a a walkthrough of all the data that we requested from districts. And the list was miles long. And a lot of it was redundant. A lot of it was the same things. And so it was really about streamlining our processes so you're not covered up in paperwork anymore for us. We don't want to collect anything that we're not going to use. And this process really helps streamline all of that. It's taken out a lot of things that you would have had to submit before. So some of our older coordinators are struggling a little bit with that because they're used to having all of this stuff to do and now they don't. And it's like, oh, I'm forgetting something. Well, no, you're not, because it's all here now. So you guys came in at a good time where you don't have to do all of that insane paperwork and spreadsheets and follow-ups and things. So that was something that was really important to our team, was to make sure that this was useful for districts and make sure that it was easy to do. So yeah. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, we appreciate your time and your attention, and we do appreciate all the work that you're doing in our school districts right now. Coming in brand new at this time is extraordinarily hard. So please know that we are here to support you and here to help you in any way that you need, even if it's just someone to vent to. We're good for that. We have built a team at the department that is full of folks who have been in the classroom, who have been in programs, who know the struggle. So please don't hesitate to give us calls or emails and use the Padlet to ask questions regarding this or anything else. If there's nothing else, you all have a great day. Thanks so much.